Welcome into a Monday edition of Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery. Today on the show, what would it take to get Dejounte Murray? It was quite the spectacle this weekend at Truist Park with the Atlanta Braves and Freddie Freeman back. And playoffs. One Falcon says that they could surprise people and be a playoff team. All of that today. It's Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery on Locked On Sports Atlanta.
This is Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
Well, we welcome you into a Monday edition this final week of June on Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery. We remind you to head over to youtube.com, put Locked On Sports Atlanta into your search browser, find us, hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment. Of course, we're also free and available on all of your favorite podcast platforms, Spotify, Odyssey. Leave us a 5-star review when you find us, download it for free, and of course, follow me on my personal Twitter page at JMCH316. We continue to talk about the next step in the NBA free agency. Thursday is when NBA free agency starts. Also, always a fun time of the year. And look, Thursday can't get here fast enough as a Hawks fan because I want to see what the Hawks are going to do. And we spent a lot of time last week talking about the draft, leading up, the moves, the media, all these kinds of things. There continues to be, and again, I don't know how credible this is. I don't know how much I believe, but there continues to be discussion about the idea of Dejounte Murray in a John Collins package. Now, what would it take? Now, first off, let me say, I'm very intrigued by Dejounte Murray. Terrific two-way player. He's a good scoring guy, pass, assist, rebound, defense. He's got all the things. So when we're talking about the smallest, oh, by the way, we also got reports over the weekend. Remember when I told you Bradley Beal would do nothing but sign that $50-60 million extra he's going to get from what? Yeah, he's going to stay there in Washington. So take him off of your list and your radar of all the people that you want to see for the Atlanta Hawks, because he's not turning down $50-60 million guaranteed dollars to go play for another mediocre franchise. Sorry. I mean, you can like that or not like that, but $248 million is $248 million in the bank. But Dejounte Murray, I saw reports talking about the idea of that the Spurs want 3 first-round picks included in the package. Now, again, in the NBA, you've got to make the money match up. So it can't be just a situation where it's 3 first-round picks for Dejounte Murray. That doesn't work in the NBA. You got to make the money match up. He's about $17 million a year as a player. So you got to, be somewhere in that 20-some-odd million dollar or so range, maybe a little bit more and things like that. So I saw some deals. By the way, one of these was just kind of crazy. One included Delonte Wright, which wouldn't make any sense because he's an unrestricted free agent. But I saw a deal that would package both John Collins and DeAndre Hunter and 1 or 2 draft picks for it. That seems a little bit rich to me to give up. What if it was John Collins and 3 future first-round picks, unprotected or what have you, okay? Yeah, I'd do that deal. But are the Spurs going to do this deal? I mean, that's the thing that I keep running back to. Why are the Spurs trying to move on from their best player? Why would they make a deal that isn't going to instantly get them better, and you're rolling the dice on future draft picks and things like that? Again, it just doesn't make sense. Now, we're also hearing reports that now, John Collins is done and out in Atlanta. He's not coming back, and he's going to be gone for sure. We all told me he was going to be gone on draft night, and that didn't happen. So this is why I kind of get a little bit not really buying into what some people are selling me out of all of it. But if you told me that it's a package that is John Collins and Dejounte Murray, and that gets enough of the salary, maybe they have to throw in some scrub or whatever like that off their bench to kind of tweak this thing a little bit. Okay. And 2 or 3 first-round picks, great. I have no problem giving up any first-round picks at this point. And I'll give you that answer here in just a minute. But I do want to mention our friends over at BetOnline.net. That is your number one source for all of your betting needs and sports information. All of the sports that you want to bet on. You've got all of your sports scores, podcasts, news of the season. It's your fastest, easiest way to check in with your favorite teams, events. You got all kinds of different ways you can play. Wagering information, live betting, esports, all kinds of scores, everything else. You love baseball, you love MMA, you love boxing, you love golf. You can get mixed up in all this kind of stuff. So we want you to head over today to the website. You can use your mobile device to learn more about some of the trends and the action. It is betonline.net, your number one source for all your sports betting needs and information where the game starts. Now, why do I like this idea of giving up draft picks? Because we're past the point of trying to only develop draft picks and find our stars through the draft, right? We're in win now mode. And if you want to move on and start giving up assets, I'd much rather give up my multiple future assets of draft picks in this deal than I would to start giving up Collins, Hunter, this, and the other. I mean, I love Dejounte Murray, but you talk about the idea of losing both Hunter and Collins, you're giving up a lot at that point. That's a lot of capital, a lot of assets to have to give up. And they would have to throw in a player into that mixer or whatever as well. I saw some reports out there that were talking about one of the other guys that would be mentioned in a possible trade. It would be Dejounte Murray and it would be Keldon Johnson. Now, I scratched my head a lot about that because, okay, so San Antonio's ready to give up both of their best players. Okay, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense out there. But anything that would involve multiple draft picks, as a Hawks fan, I'm all for it. And again, I'm not excited about the idea of most packages I've heard. You know, when it comes to John Collins, I could get behind something with Collins and draft picks if it landed me Dejounte Murray. I'm not going to get behind the idea of I have to give up multiples of players and multiples of starters. Like I said, especially DeAndre Hunter and John Collins. Now I really start to weaken up the core of my team because the reality is Gallo's not going to be here. You're going to move on from Gallo. You can save a whole bunch of money, whether you trade him, cut him, whatever like that before the new league season starts. You're going to move on from him. Bogey's got this year and one more year. So you got 2 years of Bogey that's left. So you've got some things coming up where some of the guys that you thought would be your core, like Collins, sign Hunter to an extension, those pieces are going to go away, and you're going to start losing other people. Now you can say, well, we'll just go bring in stars. Okay, that sounds great. Who are we bringing in? Zach LaVine? Oh, that's right. He's not coming. He's going to sign with his own team. Well, what about no, he's going to sign with his own team. You don't have guys like that are just going to, again, guys are not going to walk away in the NBA from 50, 60 million guaranteed dollars to go play for another average franchise. Sorry. They won't. Remember when Giannis was he's going to opt out and go play with LeBron and all da. What did he do? He took less money and stayed for $225 million in Milwaukee because that was still $40 million more than anybody else could offer him. So again, unless you're going to trade, you're not going to get some of these top guys to want to leave their organization because they can get the mega money from those teams. So if I start giving up lots of assets, even adding Murray, it's going to make me, I think, a little bit better. But is it sort of a step forward with a couple of steps back, and now I've got to start to rebuild the roster? Because remember what Travis Schlenk said. They're not going to do a major overhaul on this team. Brother, if you lose Gallo, you trade Collins, you trade Hunter, that's a major overhaul. There's no other way to spin it at that point. And you give up draft picks, that's a major overhaul. So if you can narrow it and keep it to where it's John Collins and draft picks, I'm all in on that. But if I have to start adding players and adding draft picks and things like that, I'm going to have to reevaluate what that would look like. All right, when we come back, one Atlanta Falcon thinks that they could be a playoff team. Playoffs. We'll talk about that next. It is Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery on Locked On Sports Atlanta.